There are 4 secret singing types. Today, you're going to find out which voice type you are, famous examples of singers for each, and what you can do to improve your singing.
Ooh, let's go!
When voice teachers are talking about voice type, usually they're talking about vocal classification, like alto, mezzo, tenor, bass. But when we talk about voice types as a way of actually improving your singing, what we're really talking about is something much more important: vocal tendencies. Everyone has a specific vocal tendency that they fall into. Unfortunately, not all vocal tendencies are created equal. In fact, some are worse from a vocal development perspective. I'm going to start off with the worst and then work our way up to the best so you can see where you stand. Before we jump in though, let's address the elephant in the room. There are singers from each of these categories that have been phenomenally successful. So just because you have some bad habits, that isn't the end of the world. You probably just need more training to get to their level. Starting the singing types from the worst to the best, we have breathy, shouty, flippy, and squeezy. Now each one's different and presents different challenges. Let's jump in. A breathy voice type is typically what we think of as when a singer has too light of a chest voice. They're singing really breathy, really lightly, they have kind of those thinner vocal cords that aren't closing very completely. Some famous examples include Billie Eilish,
Isn't it lovely? All alone.
Olivia Rodrigo,
I got my driver's license last week.
Elliott Smith,
You've been before that you don't.
and John Mayer.
It's not a silly little moment.
It's basically like bringing your head voice all the way down, even into the lowest notes. Breathy can be the worst voice type because since there's so little chest, there's almost no way to sing stronger without straining or hurting yourself. If you push more air, you'll sound even more breathy and hollow. And since the vocal cords tend to thin out as you go higher, you're going to get even lighter up at the top part of your voice. A shouty voice type is the opposite of breathy, in that rather than having too little chest on the bottom part of their voice, there's too much. The shouty singer basically only has chest voice. Some famous shouty singers include Dave Grohl of the Foo Fighters,
I've got another confession to make.
Dan Reynolds of Imagine Dragons, Adele,
So hello from the other side.
Idina Menzel, and Lady Gaga. The shouty voice type can also be really bad because there's such a high likelihood that you're going to hurt yourself because there's so much pressure and compression going on the vocal cords. The singing tends to be very flat since just pushing chest voice is not a very effective way to change pitch, and it's also really uncomfortable. Now, although shouty is the polar opposite of breathy in most ways, theoretically, they do share something in common. In both cases, that of the breathy singer and that of the shouty singer, they're basically only singing in one register. The breathy singer is basically just singing in head voice, and the shouty singer is basically just singing in chest voice. And anytime you're only singing in one vocal register, that's going to really, really limit your vocal range. A flippy voice type is where a singer starts out with good chest voice, but as they start singing up higher and higher into their vocal range, they start to back off a little bit and kind of go towards more of a falsetto or a pure head voice kind of sound. Some example of flippy singers include Sam Smith,
I've got you in my space.
Chris Martin of Coldplay,
Nobody said it was easy.
Tom York, and Jeff Buckley.
Rain is falling, and I believe.
While the flippy voice type is similar in some ways to the breathy singer in that they're both breathy, flippy is theoretically better because at least there's some connection to chest voice going on in the bottom part. In other words, the foundation is already built, but the flippy singer just needs to keep some of that attitude going as they go up into those higher notes. That leads us to our most advanced and also rare voice type, The squeezy voice type is where the singer has both the chest voice and the head voice, but they tend to squeeze a little bit in order to get up to those higher notes in their voice. Ma 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 ma. This is usually done by raising the larynx or adding too much compression to the vocal cords. Oh yeah 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 yeah. Some examples of squeezy singers include Bruno Mars,
Shoulda gave you all my hours.
Freddie Mercury, Ed Sheeran,
Take me into your loving arms.
Sara Bareilles, and Pink.
We can learn to love again.
While the squeezy voice type is somewhat similar to the shouty one, remember the squeezy one is better because you're actually accessing up to that head voice. So rather than just pushing the chest voice from bottom to top, the squeezy singer actually has a mix between the chest and the head voice. Now that you know which voice type you are, I'm going to show you exercises that are going to dramatically help you improve each one. Before we do, remember that nobody is one thing all the time. People are complicated, and so are their voices. For the breathy voice type, one of the best exercises you can do is this 5-tone na, like you're saying the word nasty. Na 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 na. Na 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 na. Na 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 na. Na 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 na. Na 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 na. For the shouty voice type, this 1.5 octave lip trill where you're singing up in these 3/4 time, like 1 2 3 1 2 3 1 2 3 1 2 3 done, is absolutely fantastic because the range between the notes makes it really difficult to kind of just shout your way all the way up. For the flippy voice type, this octave repeat nay, where you're walking up 3, repeating, and then coming back down is absolutely crucial because that's going to help you reinforce the power and presence on those top notes. Nay, 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 nay. Nay, 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 nay. Nay, 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 nay. Nay, 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 nay. Nay, 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 nay. And for the squeezy voice type, this 1.5 octave mum is really, really amazing because that vowel is so good at relaxing the larynx and preventing you from over-compressing. Mum, 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 mum. Mum 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 mum. Mum 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 mum. Mum 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 mum. But just because you found your vocal tendency, that isn't the end of the game. It's even more important to take action. Now that you know your vocal tendency, overcome it and sing the best that you can using these warm-ups.